Imap and DNS. ISA4220, Grant 25, discussion 4. Imap, which stands for Internet Message Access Protocol, is a service, is a standard email protocol that stores email messages on a mail server. Imap is different because it allows the end users to manipulate the messages, either stored locally on the server. You can log in from different devices, and it supports multiple logins. It can be thought of as a remote file server because you can store your emails there and access them from different sites or different devices, Like I said earlier, it supports multiple logins, which is relevant for today's society because we have computers, tablets, phones, and devices, multiple devices that we need to check our email and have them sync to, that allows the pass-off to be very helpful. We encrypt IMAP with an SSL certificate, which is Secure Socket Layer, and it runs off port 995. Dovecot also runs off port 995 and is a application on Linux, which is an open source IMAP and POP3 email server for Linux Unix like systems. Dovecot is just how people choose to use the IMAP service. There's more services that you can use, but we're focused on Dovecot. To install it is super easy. You just go to sudo app install, type in the rest of the commands, and it installs Dovecot for you. You install it, you configure Dovecot. Configuring it, you open up a source file where you can secure the email traffic through a TLS certificate, which is more of a hardening technique, which allows you to send and receive mail encrypted. You obtain a certificate through an Apache server, which we've already downloaded, and you apply it. Once it's applied, you just configure the Dovecot services, like I said, in the configuration file, to harden it depending on how you would like to use either SSL or the TLS encryption. You also configure the mail location, since where exactly you want to store your mail if you download it, or if you're keeping it on your local system. And you also configure the authentication, like I said, which is the SSL and TLS encryption. Those are more of hard. DNS. DNS stands for Domain Name System. DNS is basically the phone book of the internet, and it translates IP addresses, domain names into IP addresses through either forward lookup or reverse lookup, which basically, instead of the user, end user, going and remembering the IP address for Google, they just type in Google, and the DNS translates that into an IP address and finds Google for you. Another that basically explains DNS. It also runs on port 53. DNS for Windows. DNS can be downloaded in Windows Server 2019 by going to the top, clicking Tools, add in Packages, manage packaging, add it, go through the setup, set it up exactly how you want it, how you want to download it, because there's other little packages that come with it. Once it's downloaded, you restart the server. DNS for Windows, we're using ISS to secure it. To my knowledge, we're using the ISS the certificate we have in ISS to secure it. Some of the hardening techniques for DNS is cache locking, which it controls a person from going in and manipulating the cache, which is stored information. It allows the administrator to look and see what's happening with the DNS and not allowing somebody to go in and make changes and then just delete the cache so that the administrator doesn't know. Another hardening technique would be DNS socket pull, which enables the server to use source port random. Basically, what happens is instead of using port 53, you can use whatever port you want. It kind of gives a little more security because now whoever is trying to hack or get into the system has to decide if they're trying to go to the DNS server, they have to figure out which port the DNS is on. DNS SEC enables the zone and all records in the zone to be crypto signed. Basically, you're signing all your records with crypto. It just allows it not to be read in plain text. Bind is a Linux service that stands for Berkeley Internet Name Domain. Same thing as DNS on Windows and DNS in general. It translates domain names into IP addresses. You can use it for a DNS server for your local or for the internet, which, for instance, if you want to use the host name of a computer, you can remote into the host name of a computer, and DNS will resolve the host name into an IP address so it goes straight to that computer. That's a standard thing, standard practice, because a lot of people don't remember all of their IP addresses in their range. That's not something that is a very common thing to remember, every single IP address. Most IP addresses that are remembered are usually the servers in the main computers that you would use all the time. Like I said, you can do forward mapping and reverse mapping, which is basically what DNS does for you. The installation is sudo apt-get install bind-y bind9. Very simple, just type it in and update it as soon as installed. Some of the hardening techniques are restricting access. Restricting access allows you, the administrator, to have very specific who can get into the DNS, who can configure it, who you want on it. The first step in security is physical security. The next step in security of a system is access, as well as change permission and ownership, which is identical. You can give administrators permissions, but due to their role in the system and their role in the company, you don't want to give blanket permissions to everybody. You want to give very specific permissions. So if they're only in control of site A, they should only be dealing with the DNS or the machines or located only in site A and no other site. That helps control their environment. The sources are linuxbaby.com, cloudflare.com, and firewall.cx.